All right, so let's talk about the thing I've been excited the most to talk about on this segment. Cam Ward opts out of the second half of the Pop Tart Bowl, which is the best marketed bowl that I have ever seen. Let's go ahead and make the Pop Tart Bowl the national championship because it was glorious. I loved every single part of those mascots running around like lunatics. But so, you know, so here's the deal with Cam Ward. There was a record on the line. He did get that record in I believe the first quarter. He played the first half of the game, sat out the second half. Miami legitimately could have won that game. Probably would have won that game if he was in at quarterback. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I try to not hot take every single thing I do, but
Yes,
this
you
is one
hot
where I'm
take
going
every
to.
single thing you do.
Like, I don't know. You try and be objective. And you try and say like, I understand. You trying to protect yourself. And listen, at the end of the day, we just talked about it. Florida State, like all of their players quit, and I was completely okay. Let me back up a little bit. Opting out and quitting is the same exact thing. Opting out just sounds better. But like if you don't finish something, you are quitting. It sounds better to say you signed off or you resigned or it's all the same thing. Like
Yeah.
quit opting out is quitting. So I don't care what kind of nice language people want to put around it, but that's my rant for the day. I have no problem with you making a statement and saying like, "Hey, I don't want to play this game because I'm worried about my future," or
Yeah.
I want to not play the Orange Bowl last year out of protest of getting left out. I have no problem with that. If that's what you want to do. This is not a new thing. I
Yeah.
went to the Orange Bowl in 2016 and Jabril Peppers for the Michigan Wolverines sat
Yeah.
out. It was really one of the first big opt outs. Dalvin
Yeah.
Cook played that game, and we were like, "See, our guy's better," but you're just going to spin it, to your narrative. See, our guy cares more about his program than you do. Our guy's going to play in this game, and so anyway, I think that this is not a new thing, and if this is something you want to do, more power to you. That's totally fine. I will say, opting out at halftime or quitting at halftime and not playing the second half of the game is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in
Yeah.
my life. I don't understand. This is where it probably drives me nuts. He could have opted out that entire second half. And with a minute to go, they were down by 1 point and they needed about 25 to 30 yards to get into field goal range because they've got a
Yeah.
great kicker. Borgalis is phenomenal. If he would, and the fans in the stands who
Yeah.
are paying his NIL, right? Who paid his
Yeah.
NIL are chanting, "We
Chanting.
want Cam." And the competitor in you doesn't say, "Coach, like give me the ball. I'm gonna go win this game for us. I'll go out as a legend by winning the Pop Tart Bowl." But
Yeah.
imagine the story. Now, does it improve his draft stock? No. I mean, he's gonna go top 5 either way. The idea that he had a chance with a minute to go of saying like, "Dude, let me go complete 3 passes and we're gonna win it. We'll kick the field goal and win the game." Like, and I grew up, and you're much older than I am, but um, I like my favorite players of all time would have never not done that. Like my favorite athlete of all time is Kobe Bryant. Like he's going back in the game with a torn Achilles to shoot those free throws, right? Like Jameis, huge fan. Do you think Jameis ain't walking back out there with a minute to go? You think
Yeah.
Tebow ain't walking out back there with a minute to go saying, no, I'm going to win this game? And so I don't know. I'm not trying to like hate on Cam Ward so much, but it is a different time. And like I said, the guys that I grew up cheering for would have never done this. Like
Yeah.
they would have. I mean, I think Jordan Travis would have gone back, like said, like, now obviously Jordan Travis was in the top 10 pick, so maybe it's a little different. But like, I just don't understand how the competitor in you doesn't say, no, man, like I'm gonna go win this game. Like I'm gonna. Iowa State's defense was terrible, and the only reason they got back into it is because Cam went out.
Yeah.
The guys were running wide open in the secondary. Emory Williams just couldn't hit them. Like Cam
Yeah.
Ward completes 2 passes, goes back out of the game, they kick the field goal, and they win. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand as a competitor how you don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I've thought a lot about this, and I tried really hard not to have any hot takes on social media yesterday, which was actually hard for me because Miami fans are the absolute worst slash best on social media, and I just love driving them bonkers. But this is my thing. I think at worst, he quit on his team at halftime. At best, Miami's PR is garbage, right? So let's say, for argument's sake, let's say the plan all week was that he would play one half, right? And Emery would play the second half because they want to see what they have. They want to know if he's the future or not. let's say that that was the case. When Cristobal is asked about it in the
Yeah.
press conference afterwards, he needs to say that. He
Yeah.
needs to say, oh, no, he didn't quit on his team. This was the plan all along. Both guys practiced. We told Cam, hey, listen, we really want you to get this record. We want you to play this first half, but also we really need to see what we have. So we're going to play you one half. We're going to play him the second half. I can wrap my head around that, even though I think it's dumb. And I do think they should have put Cam in the last 2 minutes. And I think, as a competitor, you would think that Cam would love that, the opportunity to come in and save the day at the very end. But from a PR perspective, that needed to be said. Because it wasn't, and because he made the statement, these conversations we have with players are private and, whatever else. What I think it did was open the door for NFL teams to question Cam. And I don't think they would have had Cristobal said, no, this was the plan all along. The fact that they didn't make him available to the media afterwards, I think was another thing, because he could have stood on his own. Hey, listen, wasn't going to play at all. I'm a top 5 pick. My agent advised me that it wasn't a great thing to risk. We can all wrap our head around this. The Pop-Tart Bowl, while fun, is meaningless, right? But he chose to go out there and play. So because you decided to go and do that, you've now opened this can later on. Nobody would have said a single solitary word had he not played in this game from the jump, right? It's just the weird way it was handled. They should have let him have media availability, and Cristobal should have shot it down right afterwards. This was the plan all along. When you couple the weird response from Cristobal and Cam not being available for media availability and watching the players fight on the sidelines with each other and stuff, it just sends a bad message that I think Miami could have done a better job keeping under control. They could have changed this narrative easily, and they didn't. And I feel like that is weird.
Yeah, and I don't believe Cristobal in that at all.
I don't either.
If you were, there's so many, like, I feel like a, Law and Order detective at this point, but if you really wanted to evaluate Emery, that he threw 6 passes before the last drive, right?
Yeah,
like the idea, the water carrying that is being done right now down in Miami to justify this decision.
I would love
absurd.
to know what the splits were in practice the weeks leading up, because if you knew Cam was only going to play one half of football, and he's got the entire year under his belt of experience, you would think Emery would get a lot more of the first team reps, knowing that he's gotten so few during the rest of the season. And my thing is, so the other side of, me saying, let's say we knew that this was going to happen. Let's say he didn't know that was going to happen. What does that say about Cam if he took the bulk or all of the first team reps all bowl week and said nothing, and then at halftime says, oh no, I'm good? Like, what a shitty position you just put your team in, when they could have taken those 15 bowl practices and gotten Emery more prepared. And listen, if this was Emery with 15 bowl practices, I don't even know what to tell you, Miami. But
the idea that, Emery played in multiple games last year. Like, the idea that you needed to test him out in a Pop-Tart Bowl to see what you had is a little bit silly, but, whatever. Also, like, if this, so I do truly think this was the plan. I think this is coming from Cam's side of things, Cam's camp. Mm-hmm. If this was a Cristobal decision,
which I get from Cam's camp, you're a
totally
top 5
fine
pick.
with that.
I get that. It's just
again, as a competitor, how do you not change your mind on that last drive?
Yeah,
I don't think he wanted to play in.
You're already in your pads, right?
Yeah, and if this was Cristobal's decision, first of all, we already know he's an idiot. But second, like, why did we not see? Do you remember? Everything's back to FSU. Remember when Jameis got suspended that game and came out in full uniform? And Jimbo had to tell him, go back to the locker room. You're not allowed to wear the pads out here. Like, he wanted to be in, he knew he wasn't playing, but he wanted to at least be in pads with the rest of his team, right? Like, just
I already thought he was going to be able to bully Jimbo into playing him, but yeah.
And okay, we didn't see that from Cam.
Yeah.
Like, with a minute to go,
literally playing soft toss with himself.
Yeah.
On the sidelines with a minute to go. Like, I'm having a heart attack on my couch, and I don't even like either of these teams.
Yeah. It's absurd to me that you could just quit. It's absurd.
Yeah.
And what does that say about, and again, you mentioned the mercenary mentality. Yeah, this is that personified. Hey, I'm going to go out because perception is reality at the end of the day.
Perception is
The
reality. That is
perception is
absolutely true.
he went out, broke a record that he set because he went to Incarnate World and played like 17 years of football, but whatever. He went out, broke a record, and then basically said, I'm out. That's good enough for me. I don't care about my teammates. I don't care about the program. I don't care about this game. I don't care about the university. I got mine. I'm going to the NFL. The rest of y'all, I don't care. That's the perception. And maybe that's not where his mind is, but that is the perception
That's
of
the
what went down.
perception it was sent. And if that's not what happened, then Miami needed to do a much better job explaining that when asked. The dodging of the questions is why this is still a topic that is being discussed. Cristobal had the ability to immediately shut this down when that question was asked, and he did not, which does make me think that he was at least somewhat caught off guard by this.
Well, and at the end of the day, if this was a Cristobal decision and he had which I don't think it was, I think this was coming from
It
Ward's
could
side.
be a Cam decision, but if it was the plan all along, you don't have to say Cam came to me and said this is what he wants, but you do have to say this was the plan all along. We
Right.
practiced
Our
all
plan was
week
to do this.
as though this was the plan. No one in our uniform was caught off guard. We know you were, but we knew what the plan was.
Yeah. And
That's
by
That's all you have to
hiding
say.
behind it, by sidestepping it, he made it look so
You
much
made it
worse.
look so much
And
worse. And I think
but
it creates
here's the thing.
some problems for Cam.
If you're Mario Cristobal and this was your plan, and Cam Ward comes to you with a minute to go and
You
says,
put him
Coach,
in.
put me in. I'm going in right now, Coach. Like you don't think Mario's saying, all right, man, go ahead. Like,
Think
you don't
about
think
the
he owes it to,
story
like,
that would be. That would
right.
dominate all of these headlines. And then instead of talking about him potentially being a
We would have
selfish
skipped this.
teammate, we're talking about what a selfless guy he is.
Yeah.
Went against the advice of his agent and went back in because winning meant that much to him.
Yeah. His teammates, the program, all those things meant a lot. And so, again, I can guarantee you this. If Florida State would have been, which actually they were, if Florida State would have been losing that Clemson game that Jameis would have been on the sideline saying, let me go in. And Jimbo would have said, no, you're suspended. Like, you're benched, right? You're not going in. But any one of those guys we mentioned earlier.
For Florida State last year.
I wish he had eligibility.
Yeah,
but
maybe you would have played that bowl game against Georgia.
The idea that you wouldn't even try to get back in there for your teammates, for the program, for the university. I mean, yeah, him not going in, him just kind of looking on the sideline like, I'm bored, I'm out, and leaving the pads on so that people might think you'd go back in. I don't know. Think about the 17 Miami fans that traveled to that game, how disappointed they were, right? So I don't know. Looks pretty bad to me.
It does. Optics are not great on this one. What is it that Mario Cristobal said? Everybody can see where these programs are trending. We got it. We can see.
Well, they better find a quarterback is what they better do, because I hope they saw
Emery.
last night.
I actually hope they keep Emery. I think that would be a great way for them to start the 2025 season. And I hope he's still there a few games in. Hey guys, we appreciate you so much tuning into a peek inside SEC football. If you enjoyed the content, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any new content heading your way. We are live every Sunday evening, and we would love to have you join us.